Happy Wednesday. We are
Hi,
back.
everyone.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to tune in to our weekly live. We go live every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my name is Bola. I'm the founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance. We're an online financial empowerment media company supporting women and our allies to achieve their dreams of financial wellness. And Yazmir is my amazing co host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yazmir. I am one of the content creators for Clever Girl Finance, and I'm joining you from New York City.
Woohoo! So I see folks joining from Canada, from Barbados, from Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us. I see Kagoma beat Esther um to leave the first comment. I don't see Esther here, but I'm assuming she's gonna join. But welcome everyone. If you're just tuning in, please leave your tell us where you're joining from in the comments. Hi Nafisa. It's so nice to see the regulars tuning in. And so today we're going to be talking about how to create an aggressive savings plan. And this is something that I think is important to talk about because there are just times where we really need to just focus and put money aside for an upcoming goal or even for the long term. And at one point or the other, I've had aggressive savings plans. Yasner has had aggressive savings plans. And I want to preface and say that by aggressive savings plan, by stating that it doesn't mean saving forever. It means saving for a temporary period of time aggressively, like doing the most to achieve that goal. So that's what we're going to talk about. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Precious from Dublin, Ohio. Hi, Sherry. I see Southwest Wisconsin, Zilla Shimmy. Bridget from Virginia Beach, thank you so much for joining us. I see Wonder from Zambia, amazing. So before we dive into our topic, I have some exciting news. So my galley came for my new book, and basically, what a galley is, it is a unedited proof of the book that comes out before the actual book comes out, and this goes to press. And I'm so excited because Yasmin and I get to talk about this, and we actually have a copy of this to send to somebody who is stateside. So in the comments, just comment and we'll pick somebody if you're in the US. So I see Kim in Atlanta by way of New Jersey. I see Tibo from Botswana. Yeah, so very excited about this. It's available for pre-order now. It comes out on July 6th. It'll probably start shipping earlier. And you can find this everywhere your books are sold. It's going to be available as an ebook, as a physical book, obviously in a hardcover, and also as an audiobook. So I will be recording the audiobook for this book pretty soon. So yes, check out Choosing to Prosper. So exciting. It's so exciting to have it in my hand. So yes, we're going to be doing a giveaway of this. So someone will get an advanced copy and we'll pick someone from the comments. So hi, Amina from Miami. Natalie from Texas. Woohoo. Thank you so much. So Yasser, let's get into the topic.
Yes. So today we're talking about uh, adopting a aggressive savings plan. I'm currently doing that just because, like, I want to buy a home, hopefully by the end of the year. But for many of us, it could be that, we're in uncertain times and we just want to have money in case something happens, or if you want to reach a goal a little quicker. So today we're going to talk about why that's important and how you can take steps to create a plan. Just to give you some statistics, according to Statistica, the average US person saved 7.3% of their salaries or their wages into 2021. Um, that that's a good number. Doesn't mean that we all have to be saving at that rate. We can save whatever we feel comfortable. It's just focusing on that for a short period of time.
Yeah, so 7.3% savings rate on average is not bad. I'm a firm believer that regardless of what you are earning or what you are saving, you should plan to save something. Even if it's only 1%, 5%, 10%, even if you're earning a little money, even if you are on a low income, it's about building the habit and consistency of saving money. So if you can only put $1 aside in a piggy bank, it's not about the $1. It's about the fact that every time you get paid, you're taking that action to save the money. And the reason why that consistency is so important is because if you're able to save when you have a little, when you earn more, right? When you're earning more, when your income increases, saving becomes organic. It becomes second nature to you. The reason why so many people who earn big income struggle to save is because they never built the habit and consistency. So don't ever let anybody make you feel bad if you're only saving small amounts of money. You're saving, that's great, the amounts are small, but the biggest opportunity here is building the habit and the consistency around saving even when you're saving a little. So as Yasmer said, you might want to save aggressively when you have a certain goal you want to achieve, or you just want to have that money piled up in the bank quickly because you're worried about your job, you're worried about the economy, you have a major expense coming up, whatever it is. And this means that you shift from your traditional way of saving, right? And then you start to get creative and say, how else can I start to save more? And that's where the aggressive savings plan comes into play.
Yes, and let's get into three key steps to build that aggressive savings plan. And the number one very important step is to try to eliminate debt, more specifically consumer debt, because those tend to have higher interest rates, money to save.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about creating an aggressive savings plan, and just to kind of step back a little bit, I talked about other goals, but one thing to keep in mind is that your goal should be personal to you. It's not what people want you to do. You shouldn't be aggressively saving because people want you to do this. It should be personal to you. You could want to, I mentioned, saving for uncertainties. You could want to retire early. You could want to buy a car, a house. You could want to start a business, move to a new country. Your savings goal is personal to you. And if people are questioning why you're being so frugal in this moment, why you're being so aggressive with your savings, why are you being so stingy, why are you acting so broke, remember your why of why you have chosen this aggressive saving strategy of for what you're trying to accomplish. I just wanted to add that in there. So the first step is eliminating debt before aggressively saving. And this is specifically that high interest debt that's costing you a ton of money. And usually high interest debt is tied to credit cards. So these are the debts in the 15, 20, 25% range where the interest you're paying alone can be in the hundreds of dollars every month, depending on what your debt balance is. And so if you have high interest debt, still save. I'm always a firm believer of you should always save, right? Can you pay off debt and save at the same time? Yes, always be saving, which means if you have a retirement savings account, a 401k from your employer, continue to put the money in there, continue to have it automatically debited from your paycheck. If you're putting aside 5%, 2% of your income, continue to do that to build your emergency savings, and then shift your aggressive focus on that debt and say, what can I do to start to eliminate this debt with extra money I have before you put that extra money towards your aggressive savings plan? And this is because interest and the way it compounds will cost you more than the amount that you are saving, right? If you have a plan to save $200 a month, for example, or $200 a paycheck, for example, but your interest on your debt is $250, then it's counterintuitive. You might as well take that $200 extra you have and slam it on that debt so that you can get it out of the way quicker and then save all that extra money that you would have been putting towards the debt now towards your savings. So high interest debt, the one that's costing you the most, you definitely want to focus on paying that off. Lower interest debt is debt that, you can kind of have on the side and make extra payments once you get up to speed with your aggressive savings plan. So for example, lower interest debt is typically your mortgage or your student loan, right? You can still make extra payments on those debts and have an aggressive savings plan. But when it comes to debt that's costing you a ton in interest, the cost of the interest is not worth the money in the savings account, because at the end of the day, the money in the savings account is going to be earning you in today's interest rates less than 1% return, right? Versus 20% interest being compounded on a debt. So you might as well focus on paying off that debt. So number one, prioritize paying down that high interest debt.
Just wanted to share full disclosure. A few years ago, I did have credit card debt, and I was paying a little bit above the minimum, and but I didn't really see progress until I took a closer look at the statement and found out that I had already paid over $800 just in interest rates. And that motivated me to eliminate that debt as soon as possible because I could have done so many things with those $800. So yeah, for me, just looking at that, seeing that number really motivated me to just pay it off quickly. So yeah, just pay attention to the interest rate. I believe that the interest rate on that credit card was like 23%. It's
Wow.
pretty
Yeah.
high. Yeah, so definitely just try to eliminate that debt as soon as you can.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Good. That's, there's nothing like looking at what the debt is costing you
Mhm.
to motivate you to want to get
Yeah.
that out of the way. So Natalie mentioned that her bank is giving her 2.8% interest until the end of August. That is definitely higher than average. But one thing to keep in mind is that inflation right now is pretty high. So before the pandemic, inflation was around 2 to 3% in the US. And I've been reading numbers like inflation being at 6 to 7%. So the banks are trying to incentivize you, but at the same time, it's not beating inflation, right? But if you have a 20% credit card, then you want to focus on paying off that 20% credit card. And people always say, well, is inflation tangible? Can you actually see it? Look in the grocery store today. There is a bacon pack my kids like, and I usually would pay $5 to $6 for this pack of bacon. And this past weekend, I paid $11. I thought I had made a mistake because I looked at my receipt after I had left. That was the price. And my grocery bill, I think, was like $146. When I actually sat down and calculated it, that grocery bill should not have been more than $80. Everything is so much more expensive right now. It's insane, right? And just given this idea of basically in a recession, approaching recession, this is a great time to have that aggressive savings plan in place. So Kim says she needs to pay off the CC credit card debt and she's looking into a side gig now. Yes, we're going to talk about that. An analyst said that she closed the credit card and paid the minimum because she couldn't afford more. Realized a year later that she still owed the same amount, paid it all off at once when she was able to. So yes, credit cards, right? If you're only paying the minimum, you're paying more money to interest than to the amount you owe. That's just the bottom line. If you're making a minimum payment, right? So the way minimum payments work, the way they're designed is that they allow the credit card provider, the debt provider, to charge you the most amount of interest for the maximum amount of time legally allowable to them by the government, etc. So the minimum payment they're giving you is not a favor to you. It's because they want you to pay minimum payments, because if you pay minimum payments, they can maximize the amount of interest they charge you every single month. And the way credit card companies and banks make money is through interest. So they want you to make the minimum payments. And so when you look at a breakdown, if you look at your credit card statement, there's always a breakdown. Now they have to have this breakdown that also tells you how long it'll take you to get out of debt. If you only pay minimums, legally it has to be on that statement. So go online, download the PDF, and you will see how much of your minimum payment goes towards interest and how much goes towards your principal. So let's say a minimum payment is $200. I guarantee you that something like 175 is going towards interest. And then $25 is going towards your principal, depending on your interest rate and depending on how your interest is compounded. So very, very important. Regarding the grocery comment, Natalie said that she price matches and it takes more time, but it saves money. And you are a better person than me. I always learn my lesson after the fact. So thanks for sharing that tip on with everything going on. Think of ways to price match. Okay.
Next tip is to reduce your spending, especially on like luxury items, things that you don't need. Just hold off on those. I don't believe in like cutting things that you like long term because it just doesn't work. Like like from in my experience, like dieting, like if I restrict myself too much, I'll end up binge eating on the things that I told myself I cannot have. I believe the same goes with spending. So try to reduce those, even if it's just temporarily. Another full disclosure is we were talking about food and how expensive it is. The other day, I decided to treat my mom, my sister, and I for like Chipotle via Grubhub. Usually I spend like maybe $45, which is a lot, but it's something that I have once in a while. And because of inflation and everything being expensive, I ended up paying $70. So that is a luxury that I will cut out for a little bit. And if I really want Chipotle that bad, I'm gonna have to go to the restaurant and pick it up.
Yeah, so reducing your spending is a big one. And again, this is about creating that aggressive savings plan, right? Kim, you're cracking me up here. But this is about creating that aggressive savings plan, which means you're getting uncomfortable, you're getting creative to save more money for this one goal that you're trying to get to. You're trying to accelerate getting there, right? Which means we're not saying don't get your coffee, don't do your nails, don't do your hair. We're not saying that, but we're saying that if you need to pause this temporarily so that you can reach that savings goal that you really want to reach. And this is not just about savings. This all of this can also be applied to an aggressive debt payoff. So it's about pausing things temporarily to get to that goal. So how can you reduce your spending? Look at your budget and say, Paula, do you really need to buy $11 bacon? Like, were you really out your mind when you bought that bacon? Did you need to buy that? I did not, right? And I couldn't even be bothered to return it. But it's things like that you want to pause and say, what can I cut back? Like my kids will survive if they don't eat $11 worth of a pack of bacon. Like for example, I always give myself my own manicures. I don't have one, but I have a my tray of nail polish here on my table. And basically what I do is when I am on meetings that are not Zoom, I paint my nails, right? So that's one way that I save money. And also I'm too lazy to go to the nail salon. But what ways can you cut back? What things can you reduce, eliminate, right? You go out with your friends every week for dinner. Maybe for 1 month you just don't go, and that money that was allocated to dinner, you put it towards your savings. Maybe this week you skip your daily coffee, right? And you make it at home, and that 25 or $30 that you would have spent on coffee, you put it in your savings goal. All the small amounts, they add up, I promise. And even if they seem really small, don't forget what I said at the beginning is you're building the habit and consistency of saving. The habit and consistency. This is what allows you to save when your income is high, when your income is low, when there are distractions. That habit of consistency. You want savings to be an organic thing in your life. The same way you get up, you shower, you brush your teeth, you save money. It's natural to you. So think about ways, look at your budget. What can I cut out permanently or temporarily to achieve my aggressive savings goal? Write your goal down, print it out, put it on your computer screen, your background, your phone screen, put it on your car dash so that you can remember when you're cutting back, right? This is why I am making these temporary cuts. So I see some folks say, V said she invested in nail polishes, nail file, and a buffer. Yes, yay to doing manicures. Andrea, I was wondering where you are. Welcome. Zilla Shimi says they make their own espresso every day. Amina says she does her hair and nails at home and saves on gas by not having to drive to the salon. V says that's $45 for the manicure that can go straight to debt. So many great tips in the comments. And Analyst says automating has been a huge help. Yes. So as you're reducing those spending, automate those transfers to your savings account, right? As you're freeing up income, automate your finances, because once that money automatically leaves your bank account, even if you wanted to spend it, guess what? You can't because it's not there. And if you try to, you will overdraw your account. And then they're going to charge you $35, I think, which I think a lot of banks are trying to eliminate that fee. But if the money's not there, then you can't spend it. So automation is a great tip.
Another tip would be to try to earn more money. Again, doesn't have to be something that's permanent. Our time and energy is limited. Um, so you may have to like give up some time, like your weekend, your evenings when you want to relax, just temporarily, just so that you can get that extra income to pay off debt or for your aggressive savings plan.
Yes. By the way, congratulations, Destiny. She got married on Friday and you did your own nails. Woohoo! Got her dress for $40 and the wedding was 400. That's amazing. Congratulations. So, yes, the next thing you want to do is earn more money because it doesn't matter how much you cut back, right? Your income is your income, right? That doesn't change overnight. And also, you still have to live. You have to eat. You have to pay rent or mortgage, buy gas. Gas is insane right now. You still have to spend money. So after you've cut back all you can cut back, the next thing to do is to get even more out of your comfort zone and get even more creative and think about ways to earn more money. And this can be the big accelerator. As you build that habit, by the way, building the habit of saving and earning more money for your aggressive savings plan they need to be best friends. You cannot start to earn more money and then say, oh, you know what? I'm already saving $50. I'll just do all these other things with the money, the extra money, because then it's no longer an aggressive savings plan, right? The whole idea of spending your time, your energy to go and find ways to earn more money so that you can actually put that money towards your aggressive savings plan, your aggressive debt payoff plan, so that you can accelerate reaching your goal. So what can you do to earn more money? It's time to get uncomfortable. People always get mad at me when I say earn my money. They're like, I'm tired, I'm this. I am tired too. I am also tired, right? But at the end of the day, how bad do you want your goal? How bad do you want to achieve this savings, this debt payoff? How bad do you want it? That is ultimately up to you, right? So it could be looking in your closet. Many of us have clothes that have tags on them. I am guilty. Put them on Facebook Marketplace. Put them on Poshmark for sale, right? Look in your kitchen. I have so many appliances that people have gifted me that I can sell. Look in your garage. You have baby strollers, baby things that your kids are no longer babies. You can put these on Facebook Marketplace and sell them. I did that with some of my kids' strollers and bikes and things like that. Alternatively, get a part-time job, right? Temporary part-time job that is going to pay you X amount of money for X amount of months. That's all going to go towards your savings goal or your debt payoff goal. Ask for a raise at work. Despite what's happening in the economy right now, many companies are thriving. If you have proven yourself to be a great worker, this is a great time to say, hey, boss, right? Tell me what else I need to do so I can qualify for the maximum amount of the raise when raises season comes around. You can alternatively find a better paying job. If your company is not willing to pay you what you're worth, dust off your resume and start looking for a better paying job. Again, all of this extra money you're putting aside or you're going to be getting is to be put aside for your aggressive savings plan or your debt payoff plan. So earning more money, right, can be a game changer. And I understand some people have families, you have kids, you have other obligations that take up your time, right? But I think if we all find a couple hours to just go through our kitchen, our closet, if you have a garage, your spare bedroom, you can find some things, take some pictures on your phone while you're watching Netflix. You can find some things to put online for sale and get some money in that you can save. Natalie said she got a seasonal job on top of her full-time job. That is amazing. Zilla also said that. Zilla Shimi talked about getting a second small job to fill cash envelopes. So there's no shame, okay, in doing what you've got to do to achieve your goals, especially during the summer when everybody's like, oh, I want to slow down, I'm tired, I want to take a break. It's okay to take the break, but depending on how bad you want your goal, it's okay. It's also okay to sacrifice some time to achieve your goal. So there was that lady who on the Clever Girls Know podcast, by the way, you guys should check out. There's an episode with a lady who she was a chartered accountant. I think it's like 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 episodes from the most recent one. She was a chartered accountant and she couldn't find a job, and so she decided to do DoorDash. And she used DoorDash to pay off, I think, like some tens of thousands. I think it was like $40,000 or $50,000 of her student loans within a year. And she used it from her DoorDash pay and from her tips because she was just really into doing the DoorDash. And she said she would get out of her house and drive from 7 a.m. and just drive all day. And people will call her and say, "Girl, why are you always in the car? What's wrong with you?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just running errands." She didn't want to tell anybody because people were judging her, but she did what she needed to do. She got out of her comfort zone. She did not want to be in her car doing deliveries all day long, but she did it because she had a major goal in front of her that she wanted to accomplish. So think about it that way. What can you do to get out of your comfort zone, even if it's just for a few weeks, a couple months, to help you achieve that aggressive savings goal, that debt payoff goal? And I promise you, when you get there, you will not regret that you did it because you will have achieved your goal. I've said a lot, Yazmir.
No worries. The more information, the better. So those were some tips that we discussed. But now we're gonna focus on like some guidelines to help you save. So then, number one is an emergency fund. It is so important because you never know what can happen. Your toilet needs fixing, or the roof, or your car broke down. So you want to have that money there so you can tap into and avoid using credit cards, because then you'll see yourself getting into more debt. So definitely want to avoid that. Very important, the amount to have, and Bola, correct me if I'm wrong. It's up to you. Like you could start off with $1,000 and then just slowly add more. I also see like the rule of thumb that a lot of like finance professionals say is like 3 to 6 months of expenses to save. But you can work yourself towards that. You don't freak out if you're like, oh my God, I need to save like $20,000 and I can't do that right now. Just start off with $1,000 and then slowly add to that.
Yeah, so emergency savings are so important. So as you start that aggressive savings plan, first of all, focus on that emergency savings. It's a good baseline to have $1,000, $1,000 to $1,500, because it can cover your basic emergencies. It can buy you an emergency plane ticket to get to a family member. It can help you fix your tires, fix your water heater, pay a big bill, right? $1,500 is a good amount. But when we're talking about long-term emergency savings to cover you for a period of time until you can get your income back up, it's usually a good idea to have 3 to 6 months. A lot of people will say that in the current climate, 12 months of emergency savings is ideal. But one thing to keep in mind is that emergency savings is not your entire paycheck times 12 or times 6. It's really taking a good hard look at your budget and saying, what do I need to survive, to get through every month? And this means everything else that's a nice to have gets thrown in the trash, right? Because you don't need those things to survive. You need food, you need shelter, you need transportation, you need medicines if you have an illness or a sick person at home. You need your core utilities, water, electricity, your cable so you can find a job online. Those are the core things you need to survive. Starbucks, nope. Nail salon, no. Hair, no. Dinner, no. Dinner's out, no. Netflix, no, girl. You do not need those things to survive. You will be okay, right? So what are those core things? And then take that amount. You'll find that it's much, much smaller than your paycheck, and multiply it by 6 months. As you're creating your emergency savings plan, once you have your $1,000 to $1,500, then say, okay, I'm gonna aim for 3 months next, right? Then I'm gonna aim for 6 months. If you are in a relationship where you have joint finances, 3 months is a good starting point for you, because the chances that you will both be out of a job at the same time for the same amount of time are much lower, right? And there's now two people who can go out and look for work, etc. So the 3 month starting point is good. But if you are single and you do not have a secondary person, another income bringer, breadwinner at home, then 6 months should be your goal after you have that $1,000 to $1,500. What you want to do is build saving into your emergency fund into your budget. So let's say your goal is to have a $10,000 emergency savings. You could say, okay, you know what? I can afford to save this $10,000 over the next 12 months, which means every month you're saving $833. That's a line in your budget. Let's say after 3 months, you've saved, I don't know, 20 something $100, $2,400, and an emergency happens. You use the money and then you readjust your budget to replenish it back, which means you shift your timeline out, right? Because you're starting over. But the idea is that you have spent the money that was there to serve that purpose. A lot of people get upset when they have to touch their emergency savings, and I'm always like, well, that's why it's there. It's there so you don't have to go into debt, so you don't have to borrow, so you don't have to be stuck. So if while you are saving you have to touch the emergency savings, that is why it is there. Just readjust your budget, readjust your timeline, and then build back to replenish it and then to continue to max it out. If you get to the point where, you know what, you get to 12 months, you've saved your $10,000, you put that money aside, you don't touch it, you take the money you were saving towards emergencies and you now put it towards your next goal, whatever that goal might be.
Yes, you can actually put that money into a sinking fund. That's another way to save. So sinking fund, what it is that you are putting money towards a wedding. You want to buy a car, things that are not like normal day-to-day things. So it helps because then you don't have to touch your emergency fund. And you have that for those moments. If you want to travel to, a sinking fund is good to have. Of course, it's suggested that you put your emergency fund and your sinking fund separate accounts, but in high yield savings accounts, so that you're earning some interest on them.
Yeah, so your emergency fund is money for unplanned expenses, the surprises that life throws at you, whereas your sinking fund is money for expenses that you know are coming up, right? You know you have to service your car, right? People always say, well, my car threw me off because I didn't know I was going to service it. If you had planned, you would know you're going to service it, because guess what? The last time you serviced your car, they likely told you that in 6 months you're going to be back here for another service, right? So in 6 months from now, it's not a shock that your car needs a service, because guess what? 6 months ago, when you were getting it serviced, you knew that it wasn't going to last forever. So, building that car service into your sinking fund. You have a wedding coming up, summer, the world is open. People are traveling, weddings, trips. You have all these trips coming up. Start building the money you're going to spend on the trips into your sinking fund. These are planned expenses that you have coming up that you know you're going to have to pay for. You may not know the exact date, right? You may not know the exact date, but you know that at some point in the next few months or so, I will definitely have to make this expense. That's what your sinking fund is for. And then sidebar, somebody asked, Chris Latoya said, do we have any video or information on how to revamp your budget when expecting a baby? Yes, there is a video on this Clever Girl Finance channel about how to budget when you're having a baby. Just search budgeting under a budgeting playlist, or go to Clever Girl Finance and just search baby and it will come up. Okay. So yeah, so you talked about emergency fund and sinking funds.
The next one is your 401k, which is your employer sponsored retirement accounts. Definitely you want to put money towards that, because that is money for the you of tomorrow, for your future, for your retirement. So, and you want to do that especially if you know that there's an employer match, because that is free money. So if you can contribute up to that match, then like you're good, because you're getting free money and your money is growing. And even if you are not getting that match, still invest a portion of your check towards that, because then your money can grow over time. And if that's not available to you via your employer, you can open up a individual retirement account, an IRA, a Roth IRA, and you can do that with there's services like Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab. They offer those. So look into it, and remember that there is a limit to how much you can contribute each year.
Yes. So, a lot of people talk about, I wish I could win the lottery. My dream is to win the lottery. You can create your own personal life lottery by saving for your future self right now, right? The key is taking advantage of the opportunity of time and the power of compounding and dividends to create your own real life lottery of hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars based on what your goal is for your future self, right? You can win your own lottery because you can build your own lottery, but you have to start now and you have to be consistent with contributing for retirement. So, like Yasmir said, if your employer offers you plans, take advantage of it, max out enough to get the match, or contribute or aim to contribute 10%, or max out the entire account based on what the IRS limitations are. And for some people, it's a challenge to max out immediately. So then what you can do is, okay, the first quarter of the year or the next quarter, I'm going to contribute a certain percent of my income, and then every quarter increase it by a percentage or two until you get to the point where you're able to max out, because you're able to gradually adjust the changes in your paycheck. And when we're talking about a 401k or an IRA, keep in mind that the traditional IRA, these are pre-tax, right? So by contributing, not only will you not really notice it post-tax, you're also reducing your taxable income, right? You reduce your taxable income by reducing your tax bracket, and you reduce that tax bracket by putting that money in a 401k or an IRA, because that money gets put aside before you get taxed, and you're getting taxed on a lower amount of money, and depending on your tax bracket, maybe even a lower tax rate. So you may not even notice the difference by contributing more money to your 401k. It might be negligible, like $100 or $200. You may not even notice. I know that when I was working, I didn't even notice. So definitely take advantage of contributing to retirement accounts. Your employer doesn't offer one, open up your own. You can have multiple retirement accounts as long as they're not the same type, and as long as you meet the IRS eligibility requirements. So you can have a 401k and a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, right? So just make sure that depending on your income level, etc., on the IRS website and even on Cleverwell Finance website, if you go and search retirement accounts, we have articles where we discuss the different maximums each year for the accounts and how much you can contribute based on your income. You can create your plan that way. So it's really important that as you're saving aggressively, you don't forget about future you, right? That you want to live that good life, that you want to be able to retire early, that you want to be able to do things on your own term, that you don't want to have to worry about money when you get to a certain age. You want to start putting money aside for that you in the future.
Yes, definitely. So that was the last guideline. I would highly suggest that if you want to save aggressively, the time to do it is today. I think it could be very exciting to do that, because you'll see how you're getting closer to reaching that goal.
Yes, yes. So, I'm a huge fan of just one time doing an aggressive savings plan, right? Just challenge yourself and see how much you can save. Like, you guys know my own aggressive savings plan story, the one that I share, which is saving $100,000 in 3 years. I saved $128,000 3.5 years after college. And that was an aggressive savings plan because I was not making anywhere close to $100,000. And I had to get all kinds of creative to do that. But honestly, it was a great foundation. It was so worth it. It was painful to do at times, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned about building the habit of consistency with savings, which I carried with me today. I learned about not caring what people think when people are like, oh, why don't you want to come? Aren't you earning good money? Why are you acting like you're broke? I learned about not caring about any of that. I learned about what it truly means to challenge myself to accomplish a goal and knowing that I was able to do it. So there, it doesn't have to be $100,000. It can be whatever it is. Start an aggressive savings plan. In our Clever Girl Finance chat, we have a share your weekly personal goals in our team Slack, and I share about my money box, where every time I do not max out my grocery bill, I put the difference in a little box. I take cash back at the grocery counter and I put the difference in a box. I'm just trying to see how much I can save from not maxing out my grocery bill by challenging myself not to spend all the grocery money that I budgeted, right? So I should not be buying bacon for $11. Note to self. So just things to think about. Shannon said she started saving all her $1 bills for emergency fund. I love that. V said there is no time like the present. Nafisa said we can do it. Yes, absolutely. Just start today, set a plan. The summer is kind of quiet-ish, so you can start now. And Anna said I like that idea. So yes, this is cheers to your aggressive savings plan. And Sona said, yes, it was the cured turkey bacon. It was exactly that. Oh my God, girl. And it was $11, but it's so good. If you guys have not tried the uncured turkey bacon, listen, go to your store. I give you permission to spend the $11, but do not tag me on Instagram. Don't tag me anywhere. Just buy it and taste it and then go back to your normal budget. Charlize said she saves all of her $5 bills. V said health, she's making her health a priority, and a lot of these principles go hand in hand with finances. Absolutely. And Natalie's laughing at me and my $11 bacon. If you guys have watched this channel long enough, you know that my downfall, my biggest downfall in life is the grocery store. I've talked about this many times. That's where I get ruined. That's where everything gets destroyed. The grocery store. It's like, I don't know. I need to stop going.
Oh, the trick is that you can't. But yeah, I'm the same way. And I'll have a list and still I'll add things to my basket that weren't on my list.
Of course.
Terrible.
No, I try to stick to my list. And the trick, there's a video I talked about, there's a video on this channel about how to stop wasting money at the grocery store. I did for myself. So I need to watch it again because it was tips, but they were for me. And I talk about going to the grocery store because when I go in with a cart, I'm ready to fill that cart up to the brim. But when I go in with a hand basket, if I can't carry it, then I can't spend it. And I don't want to be the fool pushing the hand cart and then having things under my arm. And then I don't want to be that woman in the store misbehaving because I refuse to get a cart. So yeah, it's just, look for ways to save. Don't be like me at the grocery store. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we'll be back next Wednesday. Pick up your copy of my new book. So exciting. It's available for pre-order. We want to do a giveaway. We forgot that. So if you're in the US, we're going to pick someone. And how do giveaways on YouTube work? I think we're going to pick Kim because she made us laugh so much throughout this session. We're going to have another giveaway. Do not worry. So Kim, send an email and we can see your photo. Send an email with the photo you have in your profile to hello@clevergirlfinance.com, and we'll get you this advanced copy in the mail. And we'll do another one next week. And we're going to have a conversation on chapters in this book as well coming up. So yeah. So pick up a copy everywhere books are sold. It's available for pre-order. And we will talk to you guys next week. We appreciate you so much for being here, for spending time with us. We do not take this for granted. And yeah, so Kim, email hello@clevergirlfinance.com and send us the photo you have in your profile now. Thanks, everyone.
All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye.